What's going on? It's Justeeni here. It's that time of the week again where we see another tribe with a new champion. And this time, things are going to be a lot different because we are going to see not one, but two new faces with this one. So, in the north, hosting this first game, we have Cabanos or Cabanos. I'm just going to say Cabanos. Screw you guys. And then in the west, we have Sunflower and Dreamland, which both of these are very noteworthy players. Cabanos was someone that's been trying a lot with these World Championships and even been trying last year. So someone I'm very familiar with. Sunflower and Dreamland, also a very recognizable 1v1 player with a lot of these tournaments. Both of these players had to fight very hard, clawing through in the semifinals with some really, really good games, I might say. So after you watch this video, I would highly recommend looking at the semifinals with both of these players. There's some very, very interesting games there. But this isn't the semifinals. This is the finals, and only one of these players can win. So let's get right into things. So we've got Cabanos and Sunflower getting some good exploration. Cabanos going with the early lighthouse opening. Same thing with Sunflower. Sunflower finding a ruin, but kind of stuck with a lot of water. Cabanos opting to go fishing in Capital Explorer. Very unusual choice of an opening, but it does give him a lighthouse. We'll see how it pans out. Now we see organization from Sunflower. Also Capital Explorer. This has been a very popular opening with these Oumaji games, likely because it's just so safe, being able to see where the opponent is and not accidentally misplace your rider. So crazy to see. Explorers in both cities. There's only been explorers so far, not a single workshop. Now turn 4, we see organization. Despite the double explorer, economy is actually looking just fine. Seen another workshop now, 9-star per turn on turn 4 now. Sunflower, on the other hand, with a bit of a shaky start in terms of resources, suffering a lot due to that Capital Explorer. Now we see roads as a way to upgrade every city for as cheap as possible, but it is still quite rough here. Roads are still a bit on the expensive side, especially relative to that economy. Cabanos, on the other hand, getting a very, very nice start in comparison. Another city for Sunflower, just lacking in resources. Like Cabanos, on the other hand, already working towards a potential first giant, only needing farming. See the road connections now for Sunflower, getting lots of nice upgrades, but unfortunately cannot go for an explorer to get vision on Cabanos, having to settle for workshops because he does not yet have fishing. Now we see a resource ruin for Cabanos, and it seems like things are starting to snowball. These games can get pretty fast-paced. We see a nice port farm, prioritizing really good tempo with the second giant, and how do you defend here? This seems awfully rough. We see now an explorer. Missing the lighthouse, but able to meet Cabanos at least. Very unfortunate though, because that lighthouse was necessary to get a capital giant in a reasonable amount of time. We'll see if there's enough time for this defense to be pulled off, but it's looking quite bleak already. Two giants stepping in the water. Sunflower going with farming. Road connection. Getting the lighthouse now. Farming a little interesting here. I would have imagined fishing would be better to get that quick capital giant, but now we just see roads, deny the ruin, and Sunflower has had enough. So very quick resignation here, very short game, but these are best of 3s. So let's go ahead and cut to the next match. All right, game 2. Now with the hosting player switched. So Sunflower in the north, Cabanos in the west. And once again, let's get right into things. So Sunflower hosting this time really needs to win. This time, resources are looking much better than last time. And on the other hand, resources for Cabanos are now looking quite grim, with not very cooperative resources in the capital. Opts to go for an early meet, just to get that free meeting stars, get a smack, get a nice quick workshop in Second City. Not going for Explorer, interestingly enough, even though that would allow for a capital upgrade if you do get a lighthouse. Now we do see an Explorer, though this is actually not the right city to get an Explorer from if you are hoping for some potential tactics here. There was a play to move the rider, bounce onto the capital, but you do need vision to pull that off, and maybe getting an Explorer off of this city would have allowed it to happen. Then again, hindsight is 2020, possibly a missed chance to get a very strong tactical shot, but instead, still a reasonable opening nonetheless. Now we see Explorer hoping to get the lighthouse, but misses just barely, and that's going to be very rough because now the capital is going to be 7 stars more expensive to upgrade than it would have been because you need an extra port. Now another Explorer from Sunflower just picking up some extra vision, now feeling around with the riders, trying to force out some units on defense, and sure enough, Cabanos must respond, and that is less stars that can be used to upgrade his very, very low level cities. But Cabanos does have a ruin to work with. Sunflower, though, has 2 ruins to work with, getting a farming ruin, which is going to help get some very strong development with these 3 cities. Very strong 10-star per turn, even with 2 explorers. Getting some nice trades here. Now we see Star Ruin from Cabanos, and instead of going for organization, we see roads. Interesting idea here. Saying that despite all this water in the territory, going for roads to connect instead of fishing, the likely reasoning being to also have a nice combat advantage after the cities are connected. Now Sunflower, on the other hand, getting a population road, which might be able to set up for a quick giant. All you need is roads at this point. Cabanos doing a great job defending, gets a siege down, which is going to be a little bit on the pricey side for Sunflower to deal with, but we do see a nice road play. And again, this is just laying the groundwork for that first giant. Cabanos, on the other hand, while looking to be up in cities, is still very much struggling with economy. Now we see an Explorer not funneled, goes backwards, but maybe Sunflower was fine with this because that population is helpful to potentially get that giant going. Now I see Cabanos finally getting the means to upgrade his capital on turn 9. Really rough stuff, but it looks like he may be crawling back into the game. He's going to soon be on 6 cities to the opponent's 4, and that 6th city does mean Grand Bazaar. However, Sunflower having lots of ruin access and just a very strong tempo thanks to the good resources. Able to get turn 10 giant and saving the Park of Fortune for now. Who knows where that might go. Cabanos continuing to upgrade, now starting to get a bit of a foundation for that economy. Explorer hoping to get another lighthouse, something. Sees the capital giant and does not find a lighthouse. But he knows he's in quite a lot of trouble. Now we see another pop ruin. Park of Fortune right in the front to get another giant really close to Cabanos' capital. It's going to be a lot of pressure, and giants are one of the big weaknesses for Oumaji. You don't have a lot of means of defending a giant. You need to get a giant of your own, but if you get it too late, then your giant will get hit first, and that could spell disaster. You see Cabanos finally getting some nice development, going for the port to upgrade because he knows he's going to need port connections later if he wants to get that Grand Bazaar to actually get some giants going. Now a very brutal vet siege. Going to drag a lot of attention, but still with this dynamic, Cabanos able to get a giant thanks to Grand Bazaar. Now also having Park of Fortune. Where will he use that? Uses it in the back. I guess the idea is to use farming to get that next giant, but it seems a little bit slow here. And tempo is going to be the name of the game here, with Sunnyflower having so much pressure. Even getting a really obnoxious second veteran siege, blocking with the riders, blocking the farm tile. And how do you unsiege? You see double port, extremely expensive commitment using the Gate of Power. Only one monument left at Park of Fortune. Or sorry, no, Park of Fortune was already placed. No, he's got no monuments. Not a lot of giants left in the tank already. And again, this attack is looking to end the game quickly with just a snipe on the capital. Is there a way to unsiege? It doesn't look likely. There's not very many units left to defend. But Cabanos is going to try. Goes for a poor play, splashing the Juggernaut. Getting some damage on the giant, but it's just barely alive. And Sunflower is able to win this using that very strong start. And now it's 1-1. Next game decides it all. Let's go ahead and cut to that one. All right, final game. We have now Cabanos hosting once again in the west and Sunflower in the north. Let's get right into things. Whoever wins this wins the title. We see two very different starts here. One early ruin, the other a village with some pretty nice resources. And also able to get a nice lighthouse opening in addition to that for the quick upgrade. Going for a workshop on the capital, kind of seeing that water in the middle. See a vet sword for Sunflower. Also pushing the rider towards potentially a village in that western area. Now we do see Explorer getting a lighthouse, getting some necessary vision just to kind of narrow down where Sunflower is. Better safe than sorry. We see Sunflower off to a very slow economic start in comparison. Only the capital upgraded in the second city, looking like it's got a long way to go. We see now a vet sword ruin also for Cabanos, but not as well placed. Not close to any cities. And Cabanos meets that early vet sword that was going towards that village. And farming to further upgrade things. Make some units again just to be safe in case that vet sword is supported. Cabanos does not have any vision. Does not know that this vet sword is just walking in alone and can not pose much of a threat. Really, it's just a mild annoyance in this position. Sunflower, on the other hand, still struggling to develop properly, goes for farming pre-cap, and does have access to a lot of cities right now. But again, just not a lot of stars. This is a common problem when playing Oumaji, that you just don't have a lot of stars. Cities are easy to get, but the means of developing it is a whole nother story. Now getting the meeting stars from Cabanos so late, despite that vet sword walking in so close to Cabanos' capital. Now capturing all these cities, opts to go for an explorer, which is quite an expensive commitment. You have so many cities that need to be developed. Is it really the right play to prioritize that explorer first? Now going for the workshop rider, but stuck with 3 cities all at level 1. Cabanos, on the other hand, a bunch of level 3 cities. Getting fishing now, not roads. Fishing seems a bit unusual at first, but it will make sense later. Sunflower, on the other hand, still trying to catch up in development. Just very, very behind here. And Cabanos is also getting a couple of ruins next turn. Depending on what those give, that could make things even more brutal. Double population ruin. It's looking like fate has aligned, and Cabanos may be our next champion. All he has to do is convert this position, and he's doing it beautifully so far. Really good monument use, getting a second giant on turn 9, ready to get even more. Sunflower again, just very slow, not even getting all of his cities to level 2. before Cabanos had his 2 giants. Still not a giant of his own. Now, another port connection, and you can see the intention behind fishing to control this lake, get lots of trade connections for very cheap, because it's a much cheaper tech than roads. Very close to Eye of God, just missing the North Lighthouse. Sadly, not really a way to get it here, but 3rd giant on turn 10. We do see construction from Sunflower to finally get that first giant going on turn 10. But as we know with how decisive giants are, 1 giant versus 3, things aren't going to be very pretty, especially now with Cabanos getting construction pre-cap with the intention of getting even more giants. Another explorer. Will this one get Eye of God? It looks to be funneled perfectly north. Able to get that Eye of God, getting yet another monument, which is going to be used for tempo, just to get windmills down faster, to then get more giants. Now a 4th giant. You typically don't see this sort of thing from Oumaji. They're not known for being able to giant spam like this. But we're seeing it here. Now climbing, stepping on this mountain range that was previously a hindrance for Sunflower, now still a hindrance for Sunflower, but also a strong benefit for Cabanos, able to get some nice defense bonuses for the giants. More upgrades, and you can just see the difference in economy as well. Sunflower getting roads, but only 23 start per turn after upgrading the city to get the 2nd giant. Half of the giants down, over 10 start per turn. Now walking in with the siege, willing to put the Juggernaut in harm's way. Actually, never mind, he's just going to clear all the units, and there's really no good way to break the siege. Can throw a bunch of units in, but it is not happening, and Cabanos gets things done. Very, very well earned, I must say. Going to be a very intimidating Oumaji player. Not afraid to try all sorts of unique play styles. So we'll see how things go in the face-off for him. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub, and have a good one.